Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature, the show where we look at movies past, present, and future. Today we're doing a little quick shot review for you guys of The Accountant. The Accountant just came out this last week, so we figured this would be a great one to do a short review for you guys. And don't worry, no spoilers involved. The Accountant stars Ben Affleck as a high-functioning autistic who is a accountant who cooks the books for criminals and other large organizations, and also is an assassin, I guess, of some sort.
Which would be believable with him being the Dark Knight, you know. This film was directed by Gavin O'Connor, who, I don't know what he's done in between this and Warrior, but Warrior was an amazing film and one of my favorite sports movies, I think, of all time. Honestly.
He also did the cop movie Pride and Glory with Edward Norton and Colin Farrell, which was all right.
Mediocre.
Yeah, it was a fine rent. You could slip it in there with the rest of your rentals, and you wouldn't be too disappointed.
Co-stars in the film are J.K. Simmons and John Bernthal, which J.K. Simmons he's been bringing it lately, and John Bernthal too. I love seeing John Bernthal. He looked like he was having a lot of fun in this film, so it was really exciting to see him on the screen.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing with this movie is that the performances are really good. I think Ben Affleck is probably one of the best roles that he's ever done. I honestly think that this is probably one of his best characters. After seeing this, and Batman recently, I think that his acting in general has been on a resurgence.
Yeah.
Then also, you mentioned before J.K. Simmons, he always brings it, but I honestly think that he has always been good. Even when he's in movies that aren't very good, he's always been excellent. I think it's just recently other people have started to notice and give him the accolades that I think he's always deserved.
Yeah.
He's been so great in these little character roles for years and years and years. It's great to see him getting more high-profile work like that. And then, of course, Bernthal. We got Batman versus the Punisher. Who doesn't want to see this movie? I mean, just from that standpoint. Just one of the positives, I think, is just the character of the accountant. I think it's an interesting, unique character as far as action movies goes. I think that it's really cool to see somebody that has this balance of being extremely, this savant intelligence, but also being so physically imposing. I think that Ben Affleck balances those things well.
I think the whole concept is really interesting. I love some of the... they definitely take some homage from, James Bond, a little of the Bourne Identity series. Yeah, I really did enjoy the action scenes that we did get in the film. I felt like it was a little light on the action. I think they could have went a little heavier on it. So I was a little underwhelmed in that aspect, but it was cool seeing Ben Affleck doing some of those moves. Some of the choreography, it sure looked like him doing it.
The thing I like about the fighting, though, in this movie, though, is that all of it serves the plot. It all has a purpose within the plot. I didn't find the choreography in and of itself to be the upper echelon stuff. It's not John Wick or anything like that, but it's pretty solid. I think there's some parts where the direction is a little muddled. It's a little hard to tell what's going on. But overall, though, I think the biggest thing about all the fight sequences, even though John says there's not a lot of them, they're all important to what's going on in the story. They all push the story forward, and I think that's important when you have an action movie, that your action sequences have purpose, and they definitely all had purpose in this film. I think that's one of the big positives of the action inside of The Accountant.
You know what it actually reminded me of, too? It actually reminded me of Dexter.
A little bit.
Some of the earlier Dexter seasons, the way Dexter fights people. Well, just his personality in general, is that kind of social awkwardness that you can have, and how that would translate in a fighting style.
He's got this one task that he's focused in on, and he just executes that task by executing fools. But I really, like I said, I think Ben Affleck's performance, and then him doing a lot of the, it's obviously him doing the stunts. He was doing everything, I think, really, really well in this movie as far as the action goes. I think that some of the things I didn't like as much in this movie, honestly, was the plot. I think that there was some stuff in the plot that just didn't quite work, that just pushed a little too far to, for my own believability. And then there's some moments in it where I think the movie does really lag. There's kind of this really exposition-heavy section of the movie that I think makes the movie really drag right before its third act.
You can tell that this script was, this was a really amazing script probably at one point, and and the translation to the screen, it lost something somewhere. Like you said, the plot, it bounces around a lot. There's a lot of flashback sequences. There's a lot of exposition going on in there. It feels like this script was probably rewritten a couple times or moved around, shuffled quite a bit before it actually got to the screen. And you can tell, it translates. I was really excited for this movie. This was one of my more anticipated films of the fall season, if not the most, besides Arrival, of course.
No, the script definitely seemed overcooked. I think that's the thing that I was thinking as you were saying that, is that it definitely seems overcooked. Like it's been in like the pressure cooker for 4 years before they actually were able to start putting stuff to camera. And I think that definitely doesn't help the movie whatsoever. I think that it is a little convoluted in that way, where I think that they're trying to explain everything, but in doing that, they're kind of just presenting you with bunches of information over and over and over again. And like I said, I think it makes some of the areas of the movie really kind of drag and get bogged down. And the other thing I kind of thought, though, is that there was some aspects of the story in itself I felt to be quite predictable and rote. Like there was some twists, or what were supposed to be twists in the movie, that I felt like I really saw telegraphed from a mile away. But yeah, so really it's the plot, I think, and the story itself was not the strongest suit here.
No, it's the performances and it's the characters. I really enjoyed J.K. Simmons in this movie. I thought his character was really interesting, really engaging to watch, and he, whenever Ben Affleck wasn't on screen, he was kind of the guy leading the way. But that's another thing I would probably throw in a flaw. Ben Affleck wasn't on the screen enough. I think the movie drags a little bit every time he leaves the screen. He wasn't on there enough. And maybe they did that because of his character and the way he was written in this film, but I felt like they probably should have spent a little more time with him in the present, not in the flashbacks. Though I don't think the problems outweigh the positives too much. I think this was still an enjoyable feature. It was exciting to go see a movie in theaters that was actually kind of original and it wasn't a remake of something.
Yeah, there's a lot of originality to some of the concepts that they're introducing, even though that, like I said, the plot itself, there's some things that are predictable inside of it. I think the character in and of itself and kind of a lot of the things that happen are very original. You don't see it in a lot of other movies. So there's a lot of original ideas floating around in this thing, and there's a lot of positives going on. I think it's worth going and watching.
Overall, this was an enjoyable film. I did enjoy watching this film. I thought the concept was really interesting and really engaging. Although the plot, drags it down a little bit, it's a little convoluted, it's a little kind of all over the map. I think it was still an okay watch. I would still go check this one out in theaters. Ben Affleck, J.K. Simmons, John Bernthal. You're going to enjoy watching those people on screen. But I think letter grade, I would probably give this movie a B-. I was thinking C+ range, but I bumped it up a little bit because it's one of the few original movies to come out this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of originality going on here, and there's some good acting that's happening in this movie. It gets me excited for Ben Affleck's Live by Night that he's going to be starring in here, and hopefully seeing him pop up some more. I know there was a while there where he really shied away from being in front of the camera and worked more behind the camera. I love him behind the camera. I'm really liking what he's doing in front of the camera now. I think his acting is starting to get to another level, and he puts in a great performance, I think, in this one. There's a really good cast going on here with J.K. Simmons and John Bernthal, who's having a ton of fun. The plot, though it gets convoluted and maybe a little bit bogged down in some areas, is still original, as we've said before. But I also think that the tone is a little up and down. But I think it's got a lot of fun things inside of that. And if you're looking for an action movie to go see right now in October, this is definitely the one. Saying all that, I give this movie a C+. So that's been our short episode today on The Accountant starring Ben Affleck. Hopefully you guys go out and check it out as well. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Also, remember to like and subscribe here on YouTube to Back to the Feature. And also check us out on Twitter. You can follow us at Back2Feature. We'll chat with you guys all day about movies. I've been Giovanni Carlo.
And I'm John Vandeloo.
And we'll see you guys next time at Back to the Feature.